Hey everyone, as you know, I'm Jack, and welcome to the first episode of FeatureChats. I'm joined here by Lucia. Lucia is a serial entrepreneur who has built and sold multi-million-dollar businesses in the healthcare industry. So we get the privilege of hearing about some of her experiences and gaining some insight onto the secrets of her success today. Thank you for being here, Lucia.
My pleasure, Jack.
Yeah. So, before we get started, I just wanted to give a brief explanation as to kind of like why I'm creating this video and why I plan to continue to interview people in the future. And I just came to the realization that, there's a lot of information and a lot of knowledge out there that can be shared and tapped into and used to inspire people and get people really excited about their careers and, get people thinking of ideas that they might not have otherwise thought of. So, with that said, Lucia, if you wouldn't mind giving us a brief highlight reel of your career.
Sure. I came to the United States from Italy. As an immigrant to this country, I realized that there were so many opportunities, and I was totally wanting to grab hold and do whatever I could. So, as a nurse, graduating from nursing school here in the United States, I began from day one to begin to start doing some things like educational programs, and began to realize that I could really turn this into a business.
Yeah.
So started with a company called Cardiac Counseling, and began to make that into a career for myself. And at the same time working at a hospital because financially I didn't have the resources.
Right.
And from there really began to establish MedOption with other individuals because it was a great idea to bring in, do behavioral health in with a geriatric population.
Right.
As my own family members were aging, I realized that there was a real need not only for a psychiatrist, but to approach the concept of treating dementia and other geriatric illnesses, psychiatric illnesses, in more of a all-encompassing or holistic practice.
Right.
So when we created MedOption, we began to bring together nurse practitioners, psychologists, also social workers, and clearly also a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
And it was a wonderful team approach, which really was needed.
Yeah.
And it began to really grow.
Awesome. Yeah. Quite the journey, Lucia.
Yes.
And entrepreneurs think of ideas and start businesses every day.
Exactly.
So how did you come up with the idea for MedOptions?
Well, I began to look around my own world, and as I began to see that not only family members were aging and needing some behavioral health services, but so were all my friends' families. And so from that, I already was a psychiatric nurse practitioner. I said, I think we can do a much better job. And not having the resources, financial resources, and also really not being an incredibly experienced businesswoman, decided to look around and tap into friends of mine and individuals who were wonderful business women and men, and asked them to help me, and they did.
Awesome.
And so realize you can't do everything all by yourself.
Yeah.
Using, the resources that you may have, and not to be ashamed, not to be worried about asking, and people many times are more than willing to help you out.
Yeah, that's huge. Sounds like you utilize the connections around you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I strongly recommend that.
Yeah. Okay. So next question is, how did you take that idea for MedOptions and turn it into a reality? So what were your first steps in doing that?
The first steps, I realized that, because as a nurse practitioner and also wanting to bring in social worker and psychologist, we really would need a very strong medical director who is board certified in geriatric.
Right.
So began to do that. The second thing was to really get someone who financially was going to be able to back us up. And thirdly, really needed an operation individual who could do all the structure, the computer work, to make sure that we had a CPA who could, be aware of all the financial aspects.
Right.
Those are all things that I was not proficient in. That was not my strong point.
Yeah.
My strong point really having the idea and to know that we could really give top-notch care.
Right. That makes sense because, you start the idea and you can't do everything yourself, like you said.
Absolutely not.
All right. And last question, we know that you've had a multi-million-dollar sale.
Yes.
And that if you didn't want to, you wouldn't have to work another day in your life. So what gave you the motivation to go out there and take that money from the sale and start up another venture?
Because I think entrepreneurs, it's not always driven by money.
Yeah.
It's driven by the characteristics that we have, like that you have and a lot of your friends have. The drive to see if you can succeed, the risk taking. And those characteristics just don't go away just based on what you have financially in your bank account.
Yeah.
So that's what's so interesting. So when I started Liberty Home Care, it was because to provide services now in the home of these individuals and provide some really good service in their own home so they could stay home.
Yeah.
And again, it was really, from my drive, was drive on giving excellent care. And then everything else follows.
Yeah. It's the thrill of the game.
Yes.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you so much, Lucia, for being here.
Jack, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you for everyone who's listening. I hope you got something out of this. And tune in next time for the next episode. Thank you.